Hi children, how are you all doing? So this is Vijaya signing in. So what shall we go about? The other day already we have finished one of the lessons from 5th unit. So what's next? Shall we go ahead with the poem from 5th unit to complete? Shall we go ahead? Yes. The poem is all about a legend of Northland. So without having a textbook, it is highly possible for you all to understand the lesson children or a poem as well. So please get ready with your ebook and also running notes. The legend of Northland is written by Folk Carey. You all can please look at the board. The legend of Northland is written by Folk Carey, and this is a poem which is a little different from all other poems. What is the difference? Because this poem is in the form of ballad. You might have heard this name whenever like there is a dance show going on also. Usually you see it's called as ballad. Ballad is nothing but dramatization in the form of dance. Similarly, even here a story is given a form of a poem having several stanzas, and each stanza would have 4 lines in it. So what is a ballad? If at all somebody questions you in your examination or any test, you should be ready to give an answer, because this is not a regular poem which you are going to see. So there is a story, like however the prose, each one of the lessons of your prose is definitely a story. So here for a change, you again have a story, but not in the form of a lesson, but it's in the form of a poem which is called ballad. Is everybody clear? So ballad is nothing but a very ancient form of poetry which narrates a story to generation to generation. Like usually we call it in like myths, we call it in Hinduism, right children? So elders, ancestors, like great grandfather, great grandmother, great like your own grandmothers, grandfathers, they keep telling you the myths of like many collection of myths and other things, like Mahabharata or else Ramayana or Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavata, where you come across Sri Krishna when he was a child and childhood days of Sri Krishna. All these things, you find them very interesting. And sometimes you see the elders singing these songs to narrate the story. Isn't it children? So same kind even here. Ballad is nothing but it is a poem which narrates a story very interestingly, and it's a very ancient and old tradition to follow it. So it has been followed from generations to generations. So usually elders teach the stories the same way from generations to other generations. Shall we go ahead children? And another important thing is, moreover, most of the English poets, whenever they write their own poems and all, they try to see that their biblical philosophy reflects in it. What is biblical philosophy? Biblical philosophy is nothing but the principles of Bible which are being preached by Jesus Christ. And if at all I need to give you a very good example of one of the poets is Robert Frost. He would definitely, any of the poems you refer to, you would definitely find one element of biblical philosophy. He would definitely add on, and it reflects in his poems. So even here also, Folk Carey, he took something, one of the elements of Bible, and he gives you a beautiful story. Of course, it gives us a very good message. It would of course conveys a beautiful message wherein we all need to develop such a quality what they ask us all to develop. So shall we all go ahead children, or are you all ready with your running notes as well? So let's move on to a legend of Northland. I believe all of you might have taken down even the definition of ballad also. Please take it down children. What is ballad is given here. A ballad is a song narrating a story in short stanzas having 4 lines in each. It doesn't mean that you need to write as it is the same thing children. So a poem which narrates a story in an ancient form of poetry, that is nothing but ballad, and it will have many stanzas according to its own length, but each stanza would have 4 lines only in it. That is a rule. Is everybody clear? Shall we move ahead? Yes. A Legend of Northland. This poem narrates the legend of an old lady who angered Saint Peter because of her greed. So they are just giving you the theme of the whole of poem. Here, this poem narrates the legend is an old story. Here, according to the contextual meaning, like whatever the way they use the word legend in this poem is nothing but legend is a old story, very ancient story of an old lady. So the story is all about a very old lady who angered, who caused somebody to get angry. So who was angry? He was none other than Saint Peter. So you all need to please make a note of it, children. As I was telling that, biblical philosophy, biblical principles, biblical elements, so biblical characters you can call him as. So Saint Peter was one of the very chief disciples of Jesus Christ. Disciple is the follower, who used to preach the biblical philosophy among the people by moving from one place to another. So he was a preacher. So Saint Peter was one of the chief disciples of Jesus Christ. So this, as already we have learned, that ballad is nothing but a story, right, in the form of a poem. So here this poem narrates about a old lady who made Saint Peter angry. So why did she make? What sort of things happened there? What was the reaction of Saint Peter? Let's go ahead about it. So please look at, children. Away, away in the Northland. Away, away. So please underline these two words, children. Away, away is repeated. Twice you can see the words one after the other. So this is a poetic device called repetition. So where you come across the word which is being used repeatedly one after the other. So please note it down as you underline. You also please make a note of it as it's a repetition. So if at all tomorrow you see one of the extract based questions as away, away in the Northland, what is the poetic device used? Then you should be able enough to answer that. Yes, it is the repetition. In the Northland. So we really do not know whether there is a place in fact factually which is called Northland. But yes, we can understand that this particular place is very close to the North Pole of the Earth. So it is the extreme northern place of the Earth. That's the reason the land which is very close to the northern part of the Earth is Northland. This is what we understand because we do not really know whether there is such place called or not. Where the hours of the day are few. So please underline this line as well, children. As we all need to know, you all know the directions, right? North, south, east and west. So as this particular place, about what and about where they are giving the description, is very close to the northern part of Earth, it has got day hours very few because it is like the sun's rays, they fall for a very short while of time on this particular place. That is the reason their daytime is very less. This is what it means. Their day are very few. And the nights are so long in winter. So of course as the daytime is so less, of course the night is very long. So nights are very long, especially in winter. It used to be very dark always. That they cannot sleep them through. So usually nighttime is the time where we sleep. But whereas here in this particular area, Northland, as the nights are very long, people cannot sleep that long, children, isn't it? Not more than like, if at all everybody needs to have 8 hours sleep, we keep telling. But beyond the 10 hours, 12 hours, if somebody asks us to sleep also, can we sleep? Definitely not. So the same problem, because 24 hours a day, everybody has the same time. So that's what they're saying, that they cannot sleep them through. Though they have the long hours of nights, they cannot sleep through. Where they harness the swift reindeer. Then now here they are giving us the description about the way they commute. What is the meaning of commuting, children? Commuting is nothing but transportation. It is how do they travel from one place to another. What sort of things they used to use it for the traveling purpose. That is transportation purpose of goods or whatever. So they harness. What is harness, children? Harness is nothing but to tie something. To tie something. Harness is tie. So what they used to tie? They used to tie the reindeer. Reindeer is an animal which resides, which lives in northern area of earth. So north land of earth. So reindeers were used to pull the sledges over there. And swift, the word is used, children. There is a car swift also, you all might be knowing. Swift is like which runs very fast without making any sound. So here they are describing about the way they used to transport the goods, or they used to commute themselves to move from one place to another. They used to tie a sledge to the reindeer, which moves very fast, to the sledges. So they used to tie the reindeer to the sledges to move very fast, because the land is snowy. So now we come to know that Northland, as it is snowy, maybe it's like a kind of a thing where you see snow and ice everywhere, like Arctic, Antarctic regions you see, no? Similarly. So as the area is completely filled with snow and covered with snow, sledges are used. You might have already learnt, and you might have seen sledges when you were learning your EVS or social sciences when you were so young in primary classes. Sledges, you know. Yes. So sledges were pulled by the reindeer, which is being tied harness. And the children look like bear's cub. Please underline, children, this whole line. And the children look like bear's cub. So the children of that particular Northland were looking how, children? They were looking like bear cubs, in the sense the young ones of the bears, because as it is a cold region, so people need to cover their whole body. So children were given furry clothes to wear, the overcoats. So they used to look, you know, like bear cubs. Cub is nothing but the young one of bear, is called bear cub. And look at the word, children. And the children look like bear's cub. Please underline like also. There is another poetic device here which is called a simile. Simile is a poetic device which is used for the comparison, as you all know. So now what is being compared here? The children are being compared here. With what are they being compared? The children are being compared with the bear cubs. So children are looking like bear cubs. So like is a word which is called simile. So if at all there is a question you see, you will need to answer that. Yes, like is a simile. So simile is a poetic device which is used in this particular line. In their funny and furry clothes. Why were they looking like bear cubs? Because they were wearing some funny and furry clothes. You all, like, even not only Northland children, even if at all you look at the young children here, a year old or 2 years old, and whenever they go to any of the cold regions, and if it is that too in like winter season, they will be completely covered. Hardly you get a chance to look at their face. Even everything from top to bottom, they are completely covered. They look like dolls differently, isn't it? So similarly, like we feel that they look like Eskimos. They live in igloos, kind of a thing. So that's the reason the children were compared with bear cubs, who were looking funny as they were wearing the furry clothes. Is everybody clear till here? 2 stanzas are done. Shall we continue, children? Yes. They tell them a curious story. Now, why did they say something about the children? Because usually children are fond of listening to the stories. Bedtime stories. You also might have heard and listened to many of the bedtime stories when you used to be given this privilege by your own elders at home. Yes. So here they are saying that they tell them a curious story. There is nothing but the people of Northland, the elders of each one of the houses of Northland. They used to tell the children the curious. Here the curious, the word mean interesting story. Interesting story or enthusiastic story, which has to create a lot of interest in the children. So elders of each one of the families, as we have already learned that ballad is nothing but an old ancient form of poetry which usually serves the story to generations, right, children? So here elders would definitely tell a story to the young children which used to be very interesting. So now the poet is telling. Who is the poet? It's Fope Carey. Who is the poet, children? Now Fope Carey is telling that I don't believe this truth. Here you see the word TIS. This, it's ancient English. So TIS is nothing but THIS. We need to understand this. TIS is this. I don't believe. So who is saying that I don't believe? It is the poet himself. That is Fope Carey. He's saying that I don't believe. And yet you may learn a lesson. But yes, I don't believe that whether is a factual place called Northland exists on the earth. I do not know. But yes, of course, I'm sure that you will all love to listen to the story. If I tell the tale to you, so if I am telling you the story, you will all definitely love to listen to the story. So by this, we shall try to conclude here and we shall carry on in the next session, children. So here you have learned something new about is even the poems also would convey story, and those sort of poems are called ballads, right children? So ballad is nothing but a poetry form which would narrate a story, and it's an ancient poetic form which is being followed from generations to generations. And here a legend of Northland. Legend is nothing but a old story about Northland, and the theme is, the whole story is all about a old lady who will make Saint Peter angry. Who is Saint Peter? Saint Peter is one of the chief followers, chief disciples of Jesus Christ. And now in all the, we have completed 3 stanzas here. In all the 3 stanzas, of course, we have already come across 2 poetic devices. One is repetition, away, away, and also another one is simile. That is, the children were looking like bear cubs. Like is a word which is called simile. So in the first stanza they said that it is a land which is cold, and in the second one they just have told us that how would they move from one place to one place. So they used to use the sledges which were being pulled by the reindeers, which were being tied tightly, and reindeers used to pull them because the whole area was covered with snow. As it was a snowy area, children used to wear funny and furry clothes. So as they were wearing funny and furry clothes, they used to look like young ones of bear. So bear cubs. They were looking like bear cubs. And the poet says that, as children were very fond of listening to stories, and here also the elders of each one of the families used to tell the children, young children, very interesting stories. And poet says, I do not really know whether there is a place called Northland or not, but I'm sure once I start telling the tale is another word for story. Once I start telling the story to you all, you would definitely love to listen to me. So further we shall see in the next session, children. So please note it down that we have completed 3 stanzas, and possibly we shall complete another 5 or 6 in the next session. I believe all of you might have understood the poem. Is the poem clear? So poem is nothing but it's not going to be a boring song kind of a thing. Of course it's going to be a very interesting story. So we shall see what is the story of old woman and how did she make Saint Peter angry. So this is Vijaya signing off. Let's meet in the next session. Thank you.